Project number 3 with our painted newspaper. These are the refrigerator magnets that we're going to be making for Christmas gifts. You can also make some for other occasions. You don't have to use the Christmas theme if you don't want to, but you will need to bring your painted newspaper. Here we're going to be doing some tissue stamping from the tissue paper class. And as you can see, there's a kind of a different style between the ones where we're using the painted newspaper and the printed tissue paper. One's sort of antique looking and the other one is more modern, so you can make whichever ones you want. You're going to need to bring some 91% alcohol, not the 70%, 91%. You'll need your Future Floor Finish. You will need some Pearl-Ex varnish, and in this case that's the varnish you need because that's going to make it stick to tiles. Bring your score tape. Make sure it's 5 millimeter because that's the size that fits around the tile. And then you'll need to be bringing your alcohol inks. I'll bring some of my Trias, but if you have Ranger alcohol inks, that's fine too. I'm also going to show you how to make your own alcohol inks so that you can make whatever color you want. You're going to need some tile frames, so just put your tile into the center of a piece of paper and cut out a hole. You're going to need some zig pens, and they have to be the felt zig pen. It doesn't really matter, if it's the pointed one or the shaped one, but as long as it's felt. The one you don't want is the ballpoint one. That will not work on this technique, so just make sure that it has a felt tip. You're also going to need something to let your tiles dry on, particularly something with holes, so that the stuff that we put as a coating can drain off. I bought a roll of these magnets at Hobby Lobby for like $2.99, but you'll need some of that refrigerator magnet stuff. And then you'll need to bring some tissue paper with you, as well as some of your printed newspaper. This was from the class we did back in November. If you need to watch the video to remind yourself, go ahead and do that now because you will need that for the tiles that have the images. You'll need tissue paper for the stamped ones, but you will need your printed newsprint for the tiles with the images on them. And you will need it because any other paper you try to use is going to pop up off the tile, so you'll need something thin. Bring some images. I'll bring my Pitex CDs. And get yourself some tiles. Now, I got these at Home Depot. Let me show you the box here with the label so that you can get these tiles. If you only find the glazed, they're okay too. And they're only about $2.50 a sheet, and I think there's like 24 of them on a sheet, so it's a great deal. The thing you're going to need is some foil. Now, I buy this foil from a printing press in a roll, but any Ranger foil or any other foil that you use to put on top of adhesive and then pull it off will work. And then, of course, you're going to need some images. It doesn't matter what images you pick. I'm going to be using some of my pinup girls, but you can use any images. It doesn't really matter. Whatever images you have, take your tile frame and go around on the images to see what's going to fit on the tile. Now, I went ahead and cut out 3 of my images and some words from a book and a magazine so that I can make 3 tiles for you. Since we're working with the images, remember that's the one that goes on the painted newspaper. Again, we're using the newspaper because it's thin enough for the varnish to seep through and stick it to the tile. I'm going to go ahead and just pull out a couple of pieces from my painted newspaper stash. And then the process is going to be the same for all 3 tiles. I'm going to put the image into my tile frame and then just kind of audition different background papers to see which one I think is going to look good. When I find one that I like, I'm going to make sure my words fit first, and if everything looks good, then I'm just going to set it down. I'm going to pull out my image, drop my tile down, and then go ahead and trace around it with a pencil so that it will be the exact same size as the tile. And then I'm just going to cut it out. And I will do this with all 3 tiles. So again, I'm just going to take the image, I'm going to put it in the tile frame and start moving that around the different papers to see what I like as a background. And with her, I got kind of lucky because that butterfly just fits perfectly. That was a total mistake that came out perfectly. So I'm going to put my tile in and go ahead and draw around it and cut it out. So now I have all 3 tiles ready to go with all my pages and my words and everything. And now again, the process is the same for all 3 tiles or any tiles you make with images. You're going to flood your tile with varnish, flood the newspaper background with varnish, drop your image on, varnish her, put your words down, and varnish them. So everything is getting a coat of varnish on the top and bottom. First on the tile, then on the bottom of the paper, top of the paper, image, and words. Varnish, paper, put your image down, varnish, and words, and varnish. And then you're going to set them aside to let them dry. Once these are dried, this is the perfect time to add glitter or anything, any other bling you might want to add. And the next thing we're going to do is start the foiling. So I'm going to take my score tape, and first I'm going to foil around the edges of the tile. So I'm going to run the score tape around the tile. And like I said, the 5mm is the exact size of the tile, so it works out really well. I'm going to burnish it. The score tape is strong, so you don't have to burnish it too much. I'm going to peel it off, so I've got the double-sided stick now. Take a piece of foil. I'm just going to kind of walk the tile onto the foil and burnish that foil on, and when I pull it off, I have a nice gold foiled edge. I'll just do this last piece here, and there you go. Now I'm going to take my Zig pen and I'm going to put some glue onto the front of the tile so that I can foil the front as well for some extra glitz, and set it aside to dry and do my other 2 tiles. Now the front is dry, that Zig pen is dry, and now I can put the foil on the front of the tile as well, which gives it just a little extra gold, which I really, really like. Now a trick with this foil, if you get some foil where you don't want it, before you give it a final coat of varnish, you can take that foil off. And the way that you do that is with a little water and a stump, you know, a stubby stick or those blending sticks, I forget what they're called. And you just take the water and get that blender stick wet and then just sort of erase the foil that went where you don't want it. And you see how easy that foil comes off, and that's why we give it another coat of varnish. I'm not going to put any glitter on her, so she is ready for her final coat of varnish, and the main thing is to make sure that all of the foil gets covered, and then I'll set her aside to dry.